Hello, my name is Steve Herman. Welcome to my YouTube channel. It's all about mediumship training, mediumship development, education. So please, if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and learn more about mediumship. I want to talk a little bit today about the different levels of spirit, but also the different types of personalities and guides who we can attract to us. And we see there's many different levels of spirit. The more developed an individual is in terms of their spirituality and their consciousness, the energy is a lot more refined. And then we have some spirit personalities where they're at is a much denser type of energy that we connect with them. And we see that many of the early guides and individuals who were involved in assisting mediums worldwide were indigenous individuals who had passed over into the spirit world. And we know, in a general sense, someone lives in an indigenous culture. Doesn't matter where it is. It could be in Africa. It could be in, North or South America or Asia, wherever it might be. There's a tendency to really be connected very much to the earth. And when you're connected to the earth, the energy is a bit denser. Consequently, someone passes over, their vibratory rates still very, very, very connected. Here I live in North America, and so certainly there are certain places you go, and there's a lot of Native American individuals who are there. I remember one time I was with one of my friends hiking in Sedona, Arizona. There's the vortex. So we hiked up this one rock mesa. It was red rock, really beautiful vortex. And I remember I was just giving her a reading and tuning in. There's all these Native Americans who were around there. It was pretty amazing. So people who are connected to this earth and they're able to work with the energy, they're very, 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 very equipped to assist with spirit communication, especially when we get into something like the physical type of mediumship, which involves actually using psychic force to directly affect physical matter in terms of producing phenomena. But we have different guides, and usually one guide might speak through a medium or bring information through a medium, and they oftentimes represent a lot more. And that's true even with a regular reading. You might have your aunt comes through. Let's say you go to a medium and your aunt's or your best friend from high school who passed over comes through. Well, they're the one doing the talking, but there's a lot of other people who are there. Some mediums, especially in the UK, they'll hold one spirit there for, it could be a half hour for an hour during a session and just mainly focus in, stack the rack with information from that one spirit. That's one approach to working. It can be very concise, very precise, very detailed, and really let that spirit, almost like having a conversation with the individual from spirit. Of course, you can also work in maybe on a bit of a different level where you're bringing through multiple communicators, perhaps not spending as much time getting to the whole conversation part. And that can be evidential, but of course the higher spirits who set up the reading are really behind all what's taking place. So when you develop your mediumship, you have the spirit team, they're specialists. You probably will have some, not necessarily Native American, but some individuals who would be indigenous in terms of their vibratory rate, in terms of their past physical incarnations here. And you certainly will have others who may come through. I like to talk about Ursula Roberts. And she was a fantastic British medium, authored a lot of books. I'm a big fan of all of her books and recommend them. But she had Ramadan, who was an Egyptian pharaoh who came through. Ivy Northridge, who I got to see demonstrate. She passed over as well. I remember seeing her at the Greater World Christian Spiritualist Association headquarters in Conway in London. This is going back decades ago. I remember seeing her work. And she was the channel for Chan, and Chan was the Chinese guide. The Chinese wisdom. I think he had a little goatee and all that, the stereotype, all of that. And he would come through very articulately. Maurice Barbanel channeled Silver Birch. Right? Silver Birch supposedly was a higher spirit that worked through a Native American, and then worked through the medium Maurice Barbanel. Because this is how it happens. You have someone on a higher vibratory rate often will work through intermediaries as a process in terms of connecting with the medium. But like attracts like. What we do spiritually attracts similar-minded personalities. You know, when we travel around the world, we gain so much energy-wise. And I know in my own experiences, on a personal level, and just with my own spirituality, you know, I've traveled all over the world. I do work all over the world, my mediumship, numerous countries, and I like to go to places that are sacred sites. I like to be around nature a lot because of the energies, and there's spirits around those places. I mean, you can just imagine if you go someplace in South America, you have some of these large temple structures and rock structures that were built by the Incas. Right? We go to Central America with the Mayans or the Aztec in what's now Mexico. It's amazing, the architecture that's there. I know growing up in New England, there's all these stone structures. They're pre-Columbian, you know, that were built by people who, not necessarily, you know, the indigenous Native Americans, but, you know, probably Europeans that would have come over. Why? Because if we examine them archaeologically, these are all like, you know, 4,000 or 5,000 years old. Well, they resemble the same type of stonework that would be done in the British Isles, the Celtic, you know, as well as continental Europe. So we see that in these places, there's an energy that's there. And when you're working in those places, the vibration, you can tap into the world of the spirit. You know, and especially if it's a high-level energy. You know, we go to Egypt, we go to the Nile, all these places, and there's this power that's there. It's not just some kind of tourist, external, cheap, superficial tourist attraction. There's a whole rich history there, but there's a spirituality that's there. I mean, if you go into the Egyptians section of the museum, you know, they've got all these stolen artifacts that they looted or whatever, somehow acquired a century ago. But it's amazing because the residue energy's there. So there's levels of the spirit, and there's people in the spirit world from those cultures, from Egypt, from some of these past civilizations, because the Egyptian civilization, thousands of years, there's different eras. It's not just something that was there around for a few hundred years. You know, the Chinese civilization traditionally, there's all these different thousands of years going back. And we can imagine when we understand life after death, we understand the transmigration, or, you know, individuals come back here, right? Take birth again. So a lot of people physically who are here lived in some of those civilizations, depending on their particular karma. But the spirits from those particular places are also there with wisdom, and they can present themselves this way. So these are just some ideas that you can explore, and maybe you can think about a little bit. Please subscribe to my channel. And definitely, if you have questions or comments about any of this, you know, feel free to ask or to write below. I hold a lot of different programs on mediumship. But just remember, mediumship is holistic. It's about getting closer to God. It's about working on yourself, growing morally, ethically, developing your character, having a clean mind and a clean heart, and really being a good person and genuine. And when you're that way, the higher spirits will be able to a lot easier and a lot more effectively work through you. And the healing light that radiates through you will touch and transform all those around you who you come in contact with. So, God bless each and every one of you.